How can the Minnesota Vikings defeat the Seattle Seahawks? We know Sam Darnold's the quarterback, and it pains us every single day to watch him play this incredibly well over on the West Coast, a Reef's favorite football team. But at the end of the day, we need to focus on what the Minnesota Vikings currently are. Max Brosmer is probably going to get the start. What could that look like? How is this offense going to be different with Brosmer than it was with McCarthy from a stylistic perspective? And what defensively can they do to stop this incredibly explosive passing attack with a historic season from Jackson Smith-Njigba? Welcome to the Real Forno Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Real Forno Show, hosted by the one and only Tyler Forness. A to Z Sports sought him out to be their Minnesota Vikings reporter and NFL analyst. And he's a proud contributor over at SKOL North's Purple Daily. Tyler is also the captivating host of The Good, The Bad, and The Hungry on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, and a founding member of Vikings First and SKOL.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Real Forno Show, sponsored by our friends at Underdog Fantasy, where with the promo code Forno, you can get $100 in bonus credits with your first $5 play. I'm your host, Tyler Forness. With me, as always, in the top left corner is producer Dave. And we are tape delayed this time because as you watch this, I am drinking a margarita and Tecate in Mexico. And Dave is not in Mexico at all. He is unfortunately stuck in the Midwest doing his thing. But we're going to have a great show anyways. We're recording this Tuesday morning, so if you see any extra news about the JJ McCarthy, Max Brosmer stuff, we do not have that context. So please bear that in mind. Dave, how are you?
I'm good. Can't wait for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's
which should
I'm
be
so excited
when this posts today.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
And I'll be stuffing myself full of pie.
Hell yeah. I'm really excited to hear how your turkey breast comes out, because that's a smart play considering it's going to be such a more of a smaller get together for you. But I got to say, doing a turkey breast can really kick ass, especially you should consider, I'm sure you already own one because I know you. Inject it with like a Cajun butter or something. Oh, buddy. Hell yeah.
If Katie wasn't allergic to capsaicin, oh yes, I would. But can't do that.
Then just do it with like Lowry's and butter.
Yeah, it's going to be a garlic butter.
Ooh, there we go. Hey, you know what? We don't want to make Katie sick on Thanksgiving, so any kind of tasty butter. Oh yeah. I've done it where I used to do a turkey, and I would do a Thanksgiving meal for the Super Bowl. My ex-girlfriend, her mom gave us a turkey a couple years, but we would never eat it because we would always go somewhere for Thanksgiving. So I would always find a way to use it. And lo and behold, what would I do? I would inject that with butter. I would align it with bacon. And oh my gosh, that thing turned out incredible every time. Next time I do it, I'm going to do it with my wife, but we're going to spatchcock it. We're going to inject the breasts. Maybe the wings. The legs really don't need injecting because of how kind of fatty the dark meat is, but injected for flavor purposes, less for the butter aspect. And smoke that sucker for like 6 hours. Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. But we are not going to be smoking this year. I'm just hopeful that the buffet at the resort is going to have a traditional American Thanksgiving spread, because there is nothing I like more in the world than turkey gravy. Oh, I can't get enough turkey gravy. We talked about that on Monday, but I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. It's probably going to go up like Thursday morning so everybody can watch and listen before the game start. Nobody cares about the Macy's Day Parade anymore. You care about the Real Forno Show and Vikings First and SKOL and producer Dave. That is what you care about. Sorry, that sounded like gaslighting. I'm just trying to have fun and joke around. But we're here to talk about the Seattle Seahawks. And the Vikings always seem to go to Seattle, right?
It sure seems that way.
So the way they kind of structure things with the schedule, okay? So you face a division every year. every third year, you will face the team in a division, okay? Guaranteed. So last year, the Vikings played the NFC West. It was the Vikings' turn in that rotation to play on the road in Seattle. What's really interesting, and I don't have an answer for this, but I want to try and find out. I should talk to Arif because Arif would probably know. But when it comes to the algorithm, I don't know if there's a specific, hey, we're going to do this for the whatchamacallit, for like the odd games. So this is what I would consider an odd game because the Vikings and Seahawks both finished second in their division, which means they play. So a first, second, third, or fourth place schedule only accounts for 3 games. The other 2 divisions in your conference, and then 1 division from the other conference. So the Vikings played on the road against the AFC. Next year they'll be at home against the AFC, which last year they played the AFC South, so they'll host an AFC South team. Probably the Tennessee Titans at this point. Because the Titans are in 4th place and the Vikings are probably going to finish in 4th place as well, with the Lions, Packers, and Bears having at least 7 wins on the season. So you can pencil in a Titans home game. Maybe I can get my bosses to come up from Nashville and I can show them what good food is on their dime. But we'll see about that. I've got great bosses. They just also happen to be from Nashville, and that's where the headquarters of A to Z Sports is. So the fact that they're on the road against the NFC West is a fascinating one. I don't know why, but they continue to be on the road against the Seattle Seahawks in these situations. And man, it's a frustrating one, but they won last year. So why can't they win again? Well, this is a significantly better Seahawks team than what we saw last year. And it's because of Sam Darnold. The one interesting element about this team, they are average at running the football. And it's a Clint Kubiak offense, which means it's designed on the same stuff that the 2019, and 2021 Minnesota Vikings were. Wide zone, inside zone, play action. So we're seeing that style of offense. The difference with the Kirk Cousins versions of those offenses and the Sam Darnold version is the passing game is significantly more explosive. Why? And I mean this with every ounce of compassion, kindness, and I mean it in a complimentary way. Sam Darnold's a psycho. And we saw it all last year when he would just throw the ball down the field constantly. He threw the most downfield passes of anybody in the National Football League. And he was also the best at doing that. They're doing that in Seattle. They are getting explosive plays over the middle of the field. They're getting explosive plays on the outside. Jackson Smith-Njigba through 11 games has over 1,300 receiving yards. Not a mistake, not a typo. He is on pace for 2,000 receiving yards, which would be an NFL first and an NFL record. They are very explosive, and they do so off play action, which even though the running game isn't good, they are running the ball a lot. And if you run the ball a lot, they do have explosive yards. But one of the big things about how they run is Kenneth Walker III. He's their best running back. He has this tendency, which is very annoying, where he will like run up to the line of scrimmage. There will be a cutback lane. He won't take it. He'll bounce it outside. So he doesn't trust his vision nearly enough. But when he does get the edge, he can go. When he hits the hole in a gap scheme concept like counter, power, wham, trap, crunch, he can just hit the hole and go. But he gets into his own head sometimes. And by doing that, it allows the teams to be able to tackle him when he should have gotten 10 yards. He gets 3. And that is a big factor of why their running game hasn't been consistent. But Walker has separated himself from Zach Charbonnet by all reports. And that will be a very unique one to watch because the Vikings don't have the best rush defense. They're not terrible. The Ravens ran for 144 yards, but it took them almost 40 carries to do so. The Packers had a good running game, but they weren't really able to generate any explosives out of it. It was just nickel and dime kind of stuff. Hey, we're going to get 6 yards. Hey, we're going to get 7 yards. And that to me is really frustrating, but it's also how Brian Flores wants to live. He wants you to nickel and dime him to death because he does not want to allow you to have explosives. So in his world, you ran the ball 15 times, they all got 5 yards of carry, and you scored a touchdown. I can live with that because it's 15 plays. It took you 15 plays to score on my defense. Okay. Is that necessarily the right way? Not necessarily. You can argue that, hey, 5 yards of carry is bad process, but you're also not allowing anything over the top. You're not allowing them to get these passing explosives, which is the easiest way in order to attack a defense. Because if you get a passing explosive, all of a sudden, one play, one throw, 50 yards. They try so hard to not allow that. And that is going to be the most interesting challenge for me in this contest, Dave. Sam Darnold and wanting to throw the ball down the field, and he's been doing well in this Clint Kubiak offense. How is that going to translate against the defense that wants to completely take you out of it? Completely take you out of being able to take those shots. Make sure that you can't take those shots. I want to see it because there is a really, really intriguing kind of heavyweight fight there. They know Sam Darnold. They know what he's capable of. They also know he's capable of a couple boneheaded throws where he just gets a little too big for his britches, and you can take advantage of him. The Rams did so 4 times in their matchup, but the Rams won by 2. It wasn't exactly a blowout because Sam Darnold was trying to make these plays, but he could have been a little bit more conservative. We're not talking about, hey, he's playing complete bozo ball, but he definitely could have been better with his throws. Can the Vikings bait him into some of those? I am so fascinated to be sitting on a beach in Mexico drinking margaritas watching this football game for that reason. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to Mexico tomorrow. I'm really excited. But Dave, when you look at this offensive matchup against the defense, what's your initial read on it? Because it's such an interesting battle between the two teams.
I watched Coach Flores on Tuesday in his presser, and he says he plans on blitzing a lot, which is interesting that he publicly said that. But it's going to be, I'm curious if our defense versus their offense is fired up, motivated. I worry more about what the mood is versus how they actually attack it. But they're going to have to shut down Smith-njigba, without a doubt, or Sam's going to tear us apart. Or they're going to have to be in Sam's face, within 2.5 seconds of the snap, every snap. They're going to have to get center pressure. Like you said before, quarterbacks hate pressure in their face from coming through the A gaps, and we're going to have to do that. And Sam is very susceptible to that. So it's going to be interesting. Now, they're favored by like 10.5 points. They don't think it's going to stop them from scoring, put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pulling up right now kind of some of the team tiers, and I think rbsdon'tmatter.com, rbsdm.com. Make sure you type that in correctly, because if you flip a couple letters, you go to a porn site. I learned that one the hard way. I'm like, what just happened? No, rbsdm.com. So one of the interesting things looking at the Seahawks from an overall perspective, they're 11th in EPA per play overall, but in drop back EPA, well, let's just put it this way. They're much, much better. They are 5th right now in drop back EPA. The only teams better are the Packers, Patriots, Rams, and somehow the Chiefs. It does not feel like the Chiefs are that good, but they are. From a rushing perspective, they're 25th in EPA per play. Success rate on dropbacks, they're number 1 in the league. And in running the ball, they're much more successful running the ball than they are getting explosives. They're 23rd. So I guess it's only a couple percentage points, but the Vikings are going to have to do a lot in order to stop this football team. And I want to take a look at some of the spreads here for the Vikings defense as I see Marzipan is trying to get in my closet. Marzi, come here. Yeah, dogs are wonderful. I love dogs, and I will always have dogs. But oh my goodness, they get a little too active when we're doing shows here. It's great, but
they see the on-air light and it's like, okay, I'm gonna play.
I know it's wild, but let's I'm really intrigued about this Brian Flores unit for that reason. When you take a look at their EPA allowed per play, they have shrunk. They're down to 12th in the league. Success rate allowed is gotten also down to 12th in the league. They're still they're also 12th in dropback EPA, 12th in dropback success rate, but the run game is where they falter, 19th in rush EPA, and success rate against the run, they're also 19th. So it's turned from an elite defense to a good defense. And I think one of the big issues that the Vikings defense has is the offense can't stay on the field. Mm-hmm. And if you can't stay on the field, why in the hell, Dave, would that the defense be able to just absolutely carry you? That just does not compute. It does not make sense.
Only if they prevent the opposite team from scoring, and then you go to hope for a field goal or something to win, but we haven't been that good.
No, haven't been that good at all. I think offensively, one of the interesting things that I'm going to watch for is Gray Zabel. He got hurt in that Rams game. I'm going to pull that up here in a second because I don't know.
Injury of some sort. I think a bruise, contusion.
He played against the Titans, so I don't think that we'll be what's the wording for it? I think we're going to see Gray Zabel, and he's been. Look, so far I was wrong on Zabel. My big thing was a lot of the stuff that he was doing. I was really concerned that it wasn't going to translate, and I thought there were too many inconsistencies. Well, he ended up in the perfect system for him, and sometimes when you're looking at things in a vacuum, you don't always account for that. Like the Bo Nix stuff, everybody gives me grief on Bo Nix. I still think I'm right on Bo Nix because I also said at the time, the only way he's going to be any good is it becomes a Sean Payton quarterback. And guess what? He's a Sean Payton scheme merchant. So situation matters so much for these guys. And that's why a lot of us were so high on JJ McCarthy, because he comes into a situation where it fits his skill set perfectly. Well, he just isn't good right now. And we don't know if he's going to be good moving forward because, well, it's JJ McCarthy and he has not been good to start his career, but it's very frustrating.
Regressing. Mm-hmm. Too much in his own head. How do I step? How do I throw? Gotta keep my feet, all that stuff. And you can't do that when the game is live. It just doesn't work. And it puts him a tish behind on throws because he's still processing rather than, hey, this guy's open. Let's hit him.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And I can't wait to see him continue to grow. I hope he does kind of figure it out and take that next step. Will he? I don't know. We can't be completely certain about anything with JJ McCarthy at this point. The only certain thing is right now he's bad, but that doesn't mean he will stay bad. And we're going to transition.
Bad.
Oh, historically bad. I kind of defended him a little bit because I thought mentally a lot of his processing was like the decisions he was making were good or just a little slow, but it feels like he's regressed completely with that Packers game. And we talked about it. But before we go to the offense, I think we should talk to our friends about our friends at Underdog Fantasy. And if you have been paying attention to my Twitter, and I put them in the Discord too, but the last two Saturday picks have hit big. $20 lineups would have netted you $138 2 weeks ago, and last week would have netted you $99.20. Why? because I apparently, right, Marzipan, I'm pretty good at this. And it's a lot of fun. All you got to do is 2 to 8 players, higher or lower on their stats, build a lineup, and then you can get up to 1,000 times your bet. And by playing $5, you'll get $100 in bonus funds with that promo code Forno. And you can do it with the Vikings games. You can do it with NBA. You can do it with Major League Baseball. You can do it with whatever you want. And Marzipan just got a hat, so we're going to grab that. Make sure whatever state that Dave pops up on the screen, you are in, so then you can play. And remember, that promo code is Forno, Forno. And if you find yourself having a little too much fun, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That little Marzipan grabbing a hat. I can't trust this little girl. You want to come out, Marzipan?
Do you post over on our Discord your picks?
Yep.
So let the fans know. There's Marzipan. She's a good girl.
She's so sweet. She's got the cutest little underbite you'll ever see in your life. Yep. What do you think, Marzipan? Yep. She's just sniffing. She smells the goldfish. So we'll put her back down and hope she doesn't find another one of my hats and just wants to be like, hey, I can eat that too. Odie ate one of my really nice hats when he was just a little puppy like Marzipan is, and it made me very sad. But let's talk about this Vikings offense, because it could look significantly different against the Seattle Seahawks than what we're used to. And it's going to all be on Max Brosmer's shoulders. We've been seeing reports leak out, Dave, and I find that very interesting. The reports that are leaking out are talking about how the Vikings really are high on Max Brosmer. And I'll read one that I read on Monday night. I still have it in my bookmarks on the good old Twitter machine. From Albert Breer. Max Brosmer has performed well enough in practice for the coaches to want to get a look at him in a regular season setting. And they don't even have to bench McCarthy to do it. They can just do it organically because McCarthy's hurt. So why is Brosmer viewed this way? Why is he getting a look? Well, he's getting a look out of necessity, but he earned the opportunity to be quarterback too. And the reason why they haven't really gone out and trying to find a serious veteran, which one, it does not really exist right now. It's week 13. You're not finding that. 2, Brosmer played incredibly well during the preseason. And it wasn't just because he was playing against bad competition. That's how Kyle Sloter put up a bunch of numbers in the preseason. The Max Brosmer was utilizing great process, stuff that will translate to better competition. And that is going to make a difference. So one of the things that he would do is he would drop back, hitch, and fire with anticipation over the middle of the field with timing. It's really, really impressive. I'm going to have to pop up here in a second because Marzipan is trying to raid my closet. But, having a dog is wonderful, I promise. But it's fascinating from that perspective because process-wise, he's good. What are you looking for from Max Brosmer here, Dave?
Well, there's also reports he's doing a great job leading the practice squad. And he plays the opposition quarterback during practices during the week. And he's asked to do a lot of different stuff to emulate whoever. And he's excelling at it. And that's catching the coach's eyes. And we've talked about before quarterbacks that just were the Zimmer line. I've seen him in practice and know, he's bad. Well, the coaches are seeing Max Brosmer in practice and they're going, we want to see this guy in a real game. So they're going to get their chance. And I suspect he will do at least better than JJ McCarthy.
And unfortunately, that's not a high bar to clear right now.
I know. And that's all it's needed.
Yeah. It's it's going to be intriguing to see how Brosmer reacts to playing against a big boy competition. He did get some snaps. Again, the Bengals game, that doesn't really count, because it was a 38-point lead. They got him a few, but at least you can say, hey, the butterflies are gone. Now Brosmer is going to come in to a very hostile environment against a great defensive coordinator in Mike McDonald. Now he's the head coach, but he calls the defensive plays. He does such a good job of using his players and maximizing what they can do. They have two really good bulls up front, Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy II, the other Byron Murphy, who the Vikings could have theoretically taken a couple years ago in the draft, but they didn't. Murphy went 16th, Turner went 17th. So they didn't even really have a chance to get him after the JJ McCarthy pick. But they also have good corners.
I was looking for it at the time because I wanted Murphy and Murphy on the D.
Oh, yeah. Gabe Murphy, too. Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
That's one hell of a law firm, Dave. 3 Murphys. That says a lot. So they do a great job of penetrating. They do a great job of stopping the run. Because remember, Byron Murphy in college at Texas played next to Javondre Sweat. Well, guess what? They used him as the nose tackle, not Sweat, because of how good Murphy was at dealing with doubles. Sweat was more of a one gap penetrating kind of guy and a big mass of space eating. He was not the guy to hold the double, which is fine. But when you have a nose tackle, you want them to be able to hold the double and be able to sense it and feel it and be able to handle it. Well, they're not going to necessarily do that all the time, but they use Murphy as more of a nose tackle. So he comes into this 3-man front in Seattle, and he can play all over the place. And then you also have on that front Leonard Williams, who can also play all over the place. They're just set up really well. The edge rushers aren't superstars, but they're good. Boye Mafe, Uchenna Nwosu, Derek Hall. They go 3 deep, and they're solid players. They're not elite, but they're solid. And solid is just as good. When you have that kind of interior, you can do a lot of different things. Linebacker, they got Ernest Jones, who's really good. Cornerback, Devin Witherspoon's one of the better young corners in the league. Probably going to get a big extension after this season. Reek Wolin is somebody that the Vikings thought, hey, maybe we're going to make a trade for. It didn't materialize because they're in a Super Bowl potential window right now at 8-3. And Josh Jobe at nickel. And Kobe Bryant, also nickel/safety, good football players. Julian Love, nickel safety as well. They have good talent across the board, and they're coached incredibly, incredibly well. So when you look at Max Brosmer, we're going to want to see a game plan like we did last week against the Packers. You're going to want to see a lot of play action. You're going to want to see a lot of running the football. And they ran very well against the Packers. And they ran a lot, 58% of the time in the first half before they got down 2 scores, run the ball. And then the running game wasn't nearly as effective in the second half. The Packers were up 11, and they could do a lot more kind of finicky things, be more aggressive in attack, and it worked. And then they were able to, on offense, just completely turn the offense off. Just be like, just run the ball. And that, I think, was part strategy because they have a Thursday game against the Detroit Lions. But I think it all encompasses here, Dave. And I'm very worried that this team isn't necessarily going to be able to be as impactful against the Seahawks defense as they were against the Packers from a running game perspective, because I do think they're better at filling gaps, they're better at penetrating, and they're better at chasing and tackling than the Packers are.
Well,
so
not to mention that Darisaw and Donovan Jackson went out with ankle injuries last week.
So it's confusing because they both said ankle and foot, which they are technically 2 different things. So we'll see what they look like. Donovan Jackson wanted to go back in, but because of the nature of the game, they decided, no, we'll hold you out and just be careful. Darisaw's just had a rough year, and I don't necessarily blame him. I'm just going to kind of write this year off as like, man, this sucks. So let's see what he looked at looks like next year when he has the full offseason not to rehab and he can just be healthy. Brian O'Neill's been kind of rough too. And one thing I noticed when I watched the tape last night, they're still chipping a lot. They don't need to be chipping a lot. That is very frustrating because the chipping is actually making an impact on JJ McCarthy, because instead of TJ Hawkinson getting out as your outlet quickly, it's taking 3 seconds for him to even be available. You can't have that as an outlet. Like, you got to be a little bit quicker there. And when Hawkinson chips, it's not like he's just pushing. He's laying in. He's dipping a shoulder and pow.
Yeah, he's blocking.
The old school Batman with Adam West and Burt Ward, when they wouldn't actually show the physical violence, they go pow, bam, zap. Like, I love that stuff. It's so funny.
Makes me wonder about the O-line coach.
I don't know how much of that's the O-line coach or the health of the tackles. I'm wondering how much of it's the health of the tackles, because remember, they kind of, it felt like they rushed O'Neal back with the knee. And I know we've talked about Darisaw.
We're hearing reports that he's a little bit disgruntled because of being asked to be rushed back.
So maybe that Alec Lewis report from a few weeks ago, maybe that's part of the tension. They are notoriously conservative overall with injuries, but man, if you're rushing those guys back, I get it. But still, it sucks. It really sucks. So how much of that plays into it, because I think that's a big reason why they're chipping. If that like they're actually playing hurt. You can't be chipping with these guys because it's making people think TJ Hawkinson's just a waste. It's not Hawkinson's fault. It's the nature of what the offense looks like right now, with injuries at both tackle spots and not being confident that they're going to be good enough in their roles, that they need help.
Now, that's what is Hawkinson's fault is the drops. And it's not just him. The Vikings are ranked the highest this season with drop passes. Now, some of it could be because JJ McCarthy fires the ball at 100 miles an hour. But most of these guys, whether it be Hawkinson, whether it be Addison, whether it be JJ, isn't Justin Jefferson, should be able to catch these footballs.
Yeah. So let's look at it from this perspective. Max Brosmer has 2 drops in 8 attempts. Not great, Bob. But JJ McCarthy has 10 less attempts than Carson Wentz. He's played 1 more game. The Vikings have 10 more drops with JJ McCarthy. They had just 4 with Carson Wentz at a drop rate per PFF of 3.5%. They have 14 drops for JJ McCarthy, a drop rate of 14%. Now, the receivers didn't change. To me, it says a couple of things. 1, it's a confidence thing. 2, it's McCarthy's throwing a less catchable football. And the discussion around what a catchable football is changes, right? Because a catchable football, it doesn't just mean in the area. It means, hey, you've got the right speed and tempo on the ball. It's in a good place, not just in your vicinity. So there are different elements to a catchable football. And McCarthy right now, because he's pistol whipping every one of them, he's not throwing a very catchable football. That's a problem. And will that get fixed? Yes, it should get fixed. But I'm not super concerned with the drops from a receiver perspective, because we have enough of a sample size with McCarthy, without McCarthy, to know, hey, this is probably on McCarthy. We can use deductive reasoning that he's the reason for a lot of these drops. Plus, some of it could just be like, I just don't have the confidence that he's going to give me a good enough ball. Then when he does, maybe it just gets in their own head, and that plays into it too. It's a layered conversation. So we'll see what Brosmer has. I think he does throw a pretty catchable football, and see what the drops look like in this game. Hopefully it's minimal. Like if he throws the ball 30 times and you get 2 drops, it's like 6%. I can live with 2 drops on 30 passes. It sucks, but it's the nature of sports. You're going to have mistakes. I think 2 drops on 30 is objectively fine. Not, you don't want it, but I mean, we're looking at JJ McCarthy. It's not 2 drops on 30. You're looking at like almost 4.
Mm-hmm.
Not good.
Not good at all.
No. So I'm
drive killers or potential drive killers.
I'm very excited to see Max Brosmer. Expect a lot of basics, so dig routes. Expect some hitches. Would not be surprised if they throw some slants in here. My new conspiracy theory, Dave, and it's just trying to understand why O'Connell doesn't use slants very often. I don't think JJ McCarthy likes them. They throw a couple for Carson Wentz, and he's used to doing the RPO kind of glance route stuff, which a glance route is just an elongated slant anyways. But they really haven't done any of that with McCarthy, and I'm curious, maybe that's just a route that he does not like to throw, which is very possible. That's my new conspiracy theory on why Kevin O'Connell doesn't use slants.
Okay, so we should see a lot of slants to validate that with Max Brosmer.
He's comfortable throwing slants and glances. He did a lot of that at the University of Minnesota. So having that, I think, could be a really big, helpful thing for him to get eased into the NFL. Will they do it? Who knows? I could just be talking out of my ass on all this slant stuff, but it is peculiar how Kevin O'Connell really doesn't use them at all. So we just got to try and figure out why. And I'm curious if McCarthy does not like them, which fair enough. There are other quick game concepts. It's not the end of the world, but slants do make a difference. They do help. Other than that, let's see how many special teams mistakes this team makes this week, Dave. Are they going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
I saw tweet from the Flash, our special teams ace from a couple years ago. And he said, it's not the coaching. You've got to have the players doing what they're supposed to. And we'll find out. Matt Daniels, our special teams coach, may lose his job because of those mistakes.
Yeah. I'm very curious, Dave, whose fault it was with that Miles Price getting hit with the football and then that being the fumble, the muff. Whose fault was it? Because I think you can make the argument that Price is doing his job. He lets the ball go over him. He blocks the Gunners. That's responsibility number 1. I didn't hear anybody yell Peter. Peter is the universal symbol for get out of the way. Go. Get. But then the next punt, you could hear Miles Price scream it, almost like an emphasizing point. So is it really on Miles Price? Is it on the communication? And if it's the communication's fault, then you can really boil that down to Matt Daniels, in my opinion, to where, hey, why aren't these guys communicating Peter? You should be doing that every single time. So, and you know what? Maybe it is Miles Price's fault because they did call it out and he didn't hear it and he didn't move. And that's the end of the story. But we really don't know whose fault it is. So you kind of just has to boil down to, all right, we're going to blame Matt Daniels because he's the coach. Everything, it's the coach's credit, the coach's fault.
And of course, the shape of the football and the weird bounce.
Yeah. Kevin O'Connell talked about the weird bounces a couple weeks ago. Be like, we just got to keep doing our good process and the bounces will come eventually. They haven't yet. I have not yet. Lastly, before we end up getting out of here, I really have no idea what to expect from this game. The only thing I'm hoping it's not is a Seahawks blowout where they win like 42-20 because they've been blowing teams out that aren't good. And quite frankly, let's just be real. The Vikings are not a good football team. They're just not. It sucks. We don't want to talk about that. We don't want to admit it, but it's the truth. They're not a good football team. So what will it look like when the Vikings have to take on a very good football team, a team that has proven to be elite in some aspects of the game? I'm hoping they can keep it within single digits. I'd love to get a win, but single digits will make me happy.
The Vikings beat the Lions. The Vikings should have beat the Ravens. Should have also beaten the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are good football teams.
Let's work on development. Let's work on getting Dallas Turner to the next level. Let's work on seeing what Max Brosmer can do. And I'm not going to be a body language guy, but I'm very intrigued to see how Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and those guys respond to Max Brosmer throwing them the football.
I agree.
The frustration could completely melt away. Could also be just the same. It's a tough year. Tough year for the fans. A tough year for the players and coaches. Tough year for ownership and management. It just sucks. You don't want to be 4-7. You put in a lot of work to not be 4-7, but it happens. So we'll see how that all ends up looking on Sunday, 3:05 Central Time.
Yeah, I was about to say it's the afternoon game.
Yeah, which is good because I'll be in the pool until about 4:00 Eastern Time in the Yucatan Peninsula, where I'll be. I'm not gonna tell you exactly what resort, but we'll be there, and then we're gonna go to the sports bar and we're gonna watch it, and I'll probably rip some tequila shots, and who knows, maybe I'll be absolutely plastered by the time we get to the post-game show and I pop on for a little bit. But thank you guys so much for watching, listening. Sorry we couldn't do this live, but we wanted to make sure we got you something before I flew out because I don't know if I can do anything from Mexico. So I wanted to be sure that we could give you this. Thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell for those notifications. I'm Tyler. He's Dave. Do not forget, to all bloggers on Saturday, post-game show on Sunday. SKOL Vikings.
SKOL Vikings. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notifications. It helps us grow this community, and we all love our Minnesota Vikings. And on behalf of Tyler Forness and myself, Dave Stefano, thank you so dearly for watching The Real Forno Show. SKOL, everyone!